that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. And the time is 5:31. The board will now reconvene into open session, and the time is 6:19. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the Matters from the Floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. A, Harris Middle School, Principal Jeremy Niehoff.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. It is my pleasure to introduce two of the outstanding students from Harris Middle School who will lead us in tonight's invocation and our nation, to the pledges of our nation's flag and to the flag of Texas. Leading us in the invocation is Madison Scarantino. Madison is an 8th grade pre-AP student at Harris Middle School. She is a valuable member of the Harris Ambassadors team, serving as their president. Madison is an NJHS member and holds the role of reporter. In addition to all of this, she is also our student council secretary. When Madison is not busy being a school leader, you can find her on stage and behind the scenes of our drama department. She has participated in 4 of our school plays. She uses her positive attitude to tackle all challenges and is always willing to lend a helping hand. Madison is joined this evening by her mother, Miss Aubrey. Leading us in the pledges of allegiance tonight will be Christopher Garza. Christopher is an 8th grade pre-AP student at Harris. He is a member of our district champion football team, and as well as a current member of our basketball team. He plays the violin in our honors orchestra, is also a National Junior Honor Society member, and is involved in student council as well. Outside of the school, he is a star-level Boy Scout. His Boy Scout troop elected him to serve as senior patrol leader. In this role, Christopher not only organizes and plans activities from meetings to campouts, but he is the Star Scout in charge who oversees accomplishments, both accomplishments and crises. This is a huge responsibility for a 13-year-old. Christopher's steady leadership helps set the tone for our outstanding student body. Christopher is joined this evening by his mother, Miss Patty Garza. And now I give to you Madison and Christopher.
I like to believe that young minds are like sponges, looking for the right input to soak in. Education is so important. Our young brains are ready to absorb any bit of information we can get our hands on. I speak for me, and I'm sure many others, when I say that this district has so much to offer for their students. Besides the great education, we also learn amazing lifelong skills of how to get involved with our school, build strong friendships, and find joy in helping others. I am so honored to welcome all of the people that work so hard to make this district as wonderful as it is. Thank you.
May everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one indivisible.
Madison and Christopher, would you please come to the front? And Mrs. Perkins is coming with some certificates for you. Thank you so much for coming and joining our meeting tonight. Both did a great job. Miss Niehoff, please come forward for the picture too. Thank you all for being here, and you may now leave because I'm sure you have homework to do and you don't want to spend the next few hours with us. Have a great evening. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Item 6, recognitions. A, Do the Right Thing Challenge. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy. I'm pleased to present Mr. John Bojesco, the principal of Garner Middle School, who will begin this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees, and Dr. Gottardy. Each year, 7th and 8th grade students are invited to participate in a writing initiative sponsored by the San Antonio Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse called the Do the Right Thing Challenge. Bexar County Judge Antonio Arteaga, Do the Right Thing Bexar County Chair, and her prestigious selection committee evaluated 3,001 entries contributed by San Antonio students. This evening, I would like to acknowledge the accomplishments of Annabelle Lee Wells and Benedict Mendoza, current students at MacArthur High School. Last year, when Annabelle and Benedict were in the 8th grade at Garner Middle School, they enthusiastically participated in the Do the Right Thing Challenge. Their teacher, Mrs. Ashley Anderson, played an integral part in this achievement. Annabelle's and Benedict's essays were acknowledged with the highest honor of Ambassador Girl and Boy, and both students received an all-expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. This past summer to represent San Antonio at the National Campaign to Stop Violence. Recently, Annabelle and Benedict were recognized by Judge Nelson Wolf and the Bexar County Commissioner's Court with a proclamation wishing them the greatest success in their futures. Annabelle is accompanied tonight by her family, Georgina Wells and Maximus Aleman. Benedict is accompanied tonight by his family, Josephine Mendoza and Janine Mendoza. MacArthur High School Principal Pete Martinez is also attending tonight to honor his students' efforts. At this time, I would like to invite Annabelle and Benedict to the podium to share their highlights from their trip.
Thank you, Mr. Bojesco, for the introduction. BJ and I are very excited and honored to be selected to represent San Antonio as ambassadors in Washington, D.C. for the National Campaign to Stop Violence. The Do the Right Thing Challenge gave us the opportunity to share our voice and tell our personal stories through our writing. We were able to look at how violence has affected our lives and many others and help find a solution to end violence. When I won the grand prize, I had no idea the realm of possibilities that had just opened up for me, all because I had the courage to share my story. Instead of casting us away like everyone else does when we have problems, it felt like we were rewarded for the struggles we've been through. For once, we saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And by sharing our stories, we begin to help others who might be going through some of the same situations.
In addition to representing San Antonio's youth, I was able to learn about the Do the Right Thing organization, the National Campaign to Stop Violence. Together with the founding sponsors, Kuwait America Foundation has not only allowed me, but millions of other students to share our experiences and connect with others. to find a solution to end violence. I was empowered through writing by becoming more self-confident in my ability to help others, and that I can contribute to finding a solution to end youth violence.
After I arrived in DC and met kids that were my age and younger who had also shared difficult experiences, I realized I'm not struggling alone, and neither are you. Being victims or even a perpetrator of violence, we all have a story that deserves to be heard, and we were brought together to do the right thing. As ambassadors, it is an honor and a responsibility we share to use our stories to open the eyes of those around us. Through this experience, all of the ambassadors' voices from around the country echoed one another and even reached out to leaders of the world.
To add to what Bella said, the Do the Right Thing challenge has allowed me and other ambassadors to reach out to our local leaders, state leaders, and even international leaders to converse on how youth violence affect us in our everyday lives and help find possibilities to end youth violence. The Do the Right Thing challenge reminded us of how important of writing down our thoughts, finding peaceful resolutions, helping each other, and also congratulating our efforts, so that we may continue to be empowered and keep progressing through the goal of ending youth violence.
My writing usually kept me in the corner of my room, but I never could have imagined it taking me to a new corner of the world. I got to see and experience things I may have never been given the chance to see otherwise. As an ambassador, I learned that we all deserve a chance to speak up about our past. I learned that by having the courage to speak, I can make a huge impact on the people around me and society itself.
I will never forget my visit to the Supreme Court of the United States, or our book being published and placed in the Library of Congress. But most importantly, being able to represent the youth of San Antonio during National Recognition Week has been both a great honor and a great learning opportunity. I have learned that being an ambassador not only means representing our community, but also using our position to have the Do the Right Thing message of ending youth violence be heard in every part of our community, from local leaders to my own peers.
Is that it?
Nope.
Oh,
It's going. Hang on.
okay. Because you were looking at me like,
Sorry.
that's okay.
We need to end bullying at schools and teach acceptance and appreciation for one another instead of learning to beat others down so we can bring ourselves back up. She has dreams of me.
Throughout the whole experience, they put us on a pedestal where most of us were used to being on mute. At the end, we were celebrated and given the opportunity to put an actual voice to our words. If we begin to use writing as a resource to express how we feel instead of violence, then it will help more kids to continue or even begin to express their problems and what goes on in their lives. By expressing ourselves or problems through writing, by doing the right thing, we have already created one small step to ending the cycle of violence. Violence may be our past, but it doesn't have to be our future.
Thank you to the City of San Antonio and to the NEISD for providing us with this rewarding experience.
Yes, of course. Do we have a certificate? Would you both please come forward, Annabelle and Benedict, or as you said, Bella and BJ? I'm going to jump down there for a picture, but first I just want to congratulate you both on an amazing, you're just both amazing. And I just so proud of both of you for being involved in this and getting to go to DC and share that. It's just what an amazing experience that I'm sure you both had and will remember. And you're just freshmen in high school now, so you did it as 8th graders. So super proud of y'all. Yes. And you both may leave as well. Thank you again for being here, and again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Item 7, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments, no action. 2, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 term contract employee. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 3, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 continuing contract employee, no action. Item 4, introductions. Do you have introductions?
No, thank you, no.
Okay. Item B, possible action on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072, no action. C, possible action regarding consultation with board's attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071. 1, possible impending litigation, no action. Item 8, board business. A, possible action regarding changing the January 28, 2018 regular board meeting date. Dr. Gottardy.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. What we're asking the board to do tonight is that our regularly scheduled board meeting was scheduled for January the 8th, which happens to be the day that we come back from our winter break. And we're asking to change that regular board meeting to Tuesday, January the 16th.
Because Monday's a holiday also,
Monday
Monday the
is Martin Luther
15th.
King
Okay.
holiday, and we will be off. So we're asking to have the regular board meeting on Tuesday, January 16th.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, do I have a motion to approve Tuesday, January 16, 2018 as the date for the regular board meeting in January?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. White. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item 9, presentations. A, public hearing for the 2016-2017 Texas Academic Performance Report. Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. Each year, we're required to provide a hearing regarding our academic performance. No action will be required on your part. I would like to ask Terry Chidgey and Jeff Kurth to approach the podium and address this item. Thank you.
Good evening. Jeff Kurth, Senior Director for Performance and Planning, and myself will present the required components from the TAPAR report, which are the 16-17 performance indicators, the report for the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and the report of violent and criminal incidents. Following the report, we will open it up for questions, and we have experts in the room from the relevant departments. The next slides provide academic performance data. The data is based on the STAR and EOC results. Those results are compiled into an extremely complicated accountability summary shown in this slide, which lists the 4 indices. I do want to mention at this time, this is the last time we will have come to you with 4 indices. For the current year that we're in, the 17-18 school year, we'll move on to the A through F, and for the A through F system, and we'll have 3 domains. This accountability report is for the past year, 16-17. So for Index 1, it measures student achievement, and the target for 16-17 was a 60. As you can see on the green bar, Northeast scored a 79. That's the same score we scored the year before. Index 2 measures student progress as compared to the previous year. The target was 22. Northeast scored a 42. That's up by 1 point. Index 3 measures closing the achievement gaps with a target of 28, and the district scored a 43, also up by 1 point. The last index measures post-secondary readiness. The target was a 60. Northeast scored a 79. That's up by 3 points from the previous year. The next slide compares our scores to the state scores. So index 1, remember the target was a 60, the state scored a 75, and we scored a 79. Index 2, the state scored a 41, with Northeast scoring a 42. Index 3, the state scored a 40, Northeast scored a 43. And post-secondary readiness, index 4, the state scored a 76, and we scored a 79. The results of the calculations from the 4 indices give us our accountability rating for our district and our individual campuses. There are 2 possible ratings: met standard and improvement required. I'm glad to say that Northeast ISD earned a met standard rating, and all 68 of our campuses, also all 69 of our campuses, also earned a rating of met standard. We had 0 improvement required schools for the 16-17 school year.
Okay, so the next slide that we're looking at here, this is the 2016-17 school year data from the TAPR report. We're starting out with looking at the demographics for our district. And for the next few slides, you will see the state data as it compares to our district data. And starting on the left-hand side will be the state data in the gold bars or gold columns, and the brown bars or columns will be our district data. Just 2 points to note here. Our Hispanic numbers at 58.9%. That's up a little bit from last year, was at 58.1%. And then also the economically disadvantaged numbers, that's up a little bit from last year at 46.3%, so we grew about 0.3% for our eco-dis numbers. This is our STAR data, so we're looking at all grades combined. So these are all grades, all subjects. Just a few points to note here for the STAR 2017 data. First off, the test had changed. Because of requirements, state requirements that we had to give our test within 2 hours, the numbers of questions were reduced in the 2017 school year as compared to the 2016 school year. Also, the performance labels changed. So no longer do we have the levels 1, 2, and 3 and the level 2 recommended. Now we have did not meet grade level, approaches grade level, meets grade level, and master's grade level. And so these reports, what we're looking at are we're looking at the approaches grade level and above. And by definition, the approaches grade level is that they have met the minimum passing standard. So that's what we're looking at, is the percentage of kids that have met the minimum passing standard or above here. And so as we look here for all subjects, you can see that this district had a 79. That is the same score that we had for Index 1. And we can look for reading at 77. That's our grade 3 through 8 reading, plus our English 1 and English 2. We also have our mathematics, which is grades 3, 8, and algebra 1 at 81. Writing is our 4th and 7th grade writing combined at 69. Science is 83. That, of course, that's our 5th and 8th grade science and our biology end of course exam. And then finally, our social studies is at 83, which is our 8th grade social studies and our U.S. history at 11th grade. Here we're looking at reading ELA only, and now we're breaking it out by grade level. So from left to right, you can see grades 3 through 8, and then our English 1 and English 2 on the far right. You can see that grade 8 had the highest score of those grade levels at 89, as compared to the state level of 86. Mathematics, once again, grades 3 through 8 STAR is included here, and then Algebra 1 STAR EOC test on the far right. And 8th grade had the high score here also at 89. Our writing is grades 4 through 7. So grades 4 had a 66, and then grade 7 was at 73. And social studies, our last subject we're looking at here, at approaches grade level and above. Social studies, we had a 70 at 8th grade, and our U.S. history was at a 96. Science was our 5th and 8th grade science, also including our biology end of course exam. Biology end of course exam, we did very well at 92.
Attendance rates reported in the TAPR are based on student attendance for the entire school year. Only students in grades 1 through 12, so not pre-K or kinder, are included in the calculations. Attendance rate is calculated by the percentage of total days that students were present. It is based on the prior year. It's not based on 16-17. It is always based on the prior year. So the far right is the 15-16 school year.
Pretty consistent.
That is the same for graduation rate. It is always reported for the previous year. So even though this is the 16-17 TAPR report, they report the attendance and graduation rates from the prior year of the class of 2016. It is the cohort of the class that started in 12-13, and graduated by August. So summer is included. The summer graduates are included in this report.
Okay, this slide we're looking at the advanced course into enrollment completion for grades 9 through 12. And the criteria here is that if any student in grades 9 through 12 has completed or received credit for at least one advanced course during their high school period. And we can see here for, once again, we're looking at the prior year of the 2015-16 school year. And so 37.6% of our students met that criteria. Our college-ready graduates, once again, we're looking at our 15-16 graduates here. And the criteria was that they had to meet the criteria of one of 3 tests. The first one being the Texas Success Initiative. And we also had the SAT and the ACT test here. And so each one has their own criteria that they would have to meet. And so if a graduate met any one of those 3 criteria, they would be considered college ready. And so for our ELA subject, we had 63% of our students meeting one of the 3 criteria. For math, 55%. And then we also look at what the percentage of students that met both criteria for both math and also ELA. This data comes from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And we're looking at 15-16 graduates here. And for those 15-16 graduates, they track them into the fall of 2016 to see if they have enrolled in a higher education institution. And as you can see, from top to bottom, from the highest to the lowest, so University of Texas San Antonio had the highest number of students that were enrolled in the fall of 2016 at 377 kids. That's 15.7% of the graduates that we had. San Antonio College was at 15.6%. And then University of Texas Austin and Northeast Lakeview College came in at 7.3%. And you can go down, you can see other percentages at other schools. And you also have on the left-hand side there, you can see a comparison to the 14-15 graduates and where did they go in the fall of 2015, just for comparison purposes. Okay.
The next 2 slides list the number of violent or criminal incidents reported. We have provided a 3-year comparison for you. We'll leave it up for just a second and then we'll go on to the next one because it's the same, just with different infractions. This slide, although having the same columns as the one before, has the total of violent or criminal incidents at the bottom of the page.
Can I ask a question?
You can. I may have to ask Ann McNabb to come up to answer it.
It might be a really simple question. Fighting went in 15-16 from 26 to 103. Can you define fighting?
I can.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you for allowing me to come up.
Of course.
I saw that number 2 and did some drilling down and realized that last year, remember this is a year in the rear.
Right.
DEA. And so last year when we got this number drilling down, I discovered there was some miscoding. And so in actuality, the true number of the 41 was actually 23, which is right in line with what generally happens each year.
Wait a minute. Tell me those.
Yeah, the actual number, if you take away the miscodings, for
Okay.
the 41 should be 23. We can't change that because it's already been uploaded and information has already been given.
Where's 40? But so, okay, I'm confused. So 41 over here.
is the PEMS code. I'm sorry. Fighting is 41 is the PEMS code for
Okay.
fighting.
Okay.
And that is supposed to be serious mutual combat with some serious injuries, broken bones,
Okay.
stitches.
So the real
and
number
that
for
kind of stuff.
16-17 was how many?
Was in actuality 23.
Oh,
All
okay.
the others were miscoded. We've got that corrected. We're
Okay.
reminding administrators again this year, and we'll do each year as we have new administrators come on. This code is used for DAP placements.
Okay.
And while it's not really considered a violent and criminal act, I include this in the report because I think it's important as well. What we have when there are like 10-second fights, no injuries, things that happen, you get bumped and you've had a bad day, you got a hit or a slap, those things are handled on campus, and that's a whole different
Okay.
other descriptor code.
Okay,
So
thank
there's
you.
your difference between
Okay.
the fighting code here.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. Oh, did you have a question, Mr. White?
Well, I was asking you to go back to the first slide. I just didn't see the totals on that one. I mean, you moved a little faster than I was reading.
Sure.
So I don't necessarily have a question. I just wanted to see that one, yes.
I'm really ready and willing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. So prevention begins with well-informed students, parents, and staff. The district has a student-parent handbook. It's available electronically. It contains the student code of conduct. Our school personnel reviews highlights with students to reinforce rules and expectations. And each campus has a safe, drug-free campus contact who provides training for the staff. Northeast uses a variety of curricula, including Amigos in Mediation, Character Counts, Safe School Ambassadors, Foundations and Champs, and Project Wisdom. Northeast works to ensure there's a consistent management of discipline throughout the district. We provide a comprehensive set of support programs. They are listed on that slide. All have been in place in previous years, with the exception of social emotional learning, which is new for this year. And then restorative discipline is not new, but it has been expanded to other campuses for this year.
So that concludes our report. If there's anybody who wants more information, they're welcome to contact me at the phone number that's provided there or at jkurth@neisd.net. We also provide the TAPR district and campus reports online on our website at the URL that's provided on this slide. And if you want a hard copy of the report, you can go across the lobby to the Richard A. Middleton Education Center, and you can get a copy of that at the information desk there. And at this time, if there's any questions, we'll be glad to answer those questions.
I do have one.
Sure.
This was towards the beginning of the presentation where we listed kind of, there was a bar graph of where we stacked up against the state. Was that kind of the state average, or was that kind of a target established by TEA?
It's the state average of all
Gotcha.
students in the state.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Mrs. Chidgey and Mr. Kurth. Appreciate it. Item B, report on renaming of Lee High School. Dr. Gottardy.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I'm waiting for our Director of Governmental Relations to take the reins of the PowerPoint, but as promised back, here we go, as promised back at the October regular board meeting, when the decision was made to change the name of Robert E. Lee High School to the Legacy of Educational Excellence High School, that the staff would then begin an exhaustive inventory of things that would need to be addressed. Our staff reviewed district projected cost as well as student and families out-of-pocket cost. Next slide, Deborah. So through this inventory process, we found examples that range from Lee with L, capital L, capital E, to capital L, little e. Of course, we found all kind of volunteer examples, and then, of course, a whole bunch of combinations. As we went through our inventory, we identified costs greater than $1.3 million if the name, mascot, and colors were to change. Here's an example that uses the new name Lee, but includes the mascot abbreviation of Vols in the red and gray school colors. If we change the mascot and the colors, this practice sure would have to change. If we kept the same colors and the mascot, we wouldn't have the replacement cost for this particular item. So executive staff reviewed everything that I've mentioned already so far during this presentation, and keeping in mind that the overall cost to change everything, being well over $1 million, got our attention. So the executive staff decided that we would keep the mascot as volunteers. We would keep the colors red and gray. We would keep originally capital L, little e on shirts, jerseys, wherever, but we would phase that out over time. And of course, we want to keep all the honors, trophies, and different numerous dozens of awards that were awarded in the past 60 years at Robert E. Lee High School. It is our guideline to our staff that we would remove the soldier, Grumpy Gus. We would remove the logo with 13 stars. We would remove anything that represented Robert E. We would remove any Confederate symbols and names. Of course, we're going to develop an on-campus museum that would honor Robert E. Lee High School. So those were the planning guidelines that we gave to our staff so that they could then go back and look at the inventories of T-shirts, uniforms, band uniforms, signage, etc. For those items with capital L and lowercase e, we will phase them out over time and replace them with all caps, L-E-E, all caps. So the four major buckets, this is not everything that's at the school, but the four major buckets is obviously all kind of signage and all kinds of things around the school in the way of facilities. fine arts, athletics, and JROTC. Those are the four major areas that we targeted through this process. So tonight, it is our presentation tonight is to break down those four buckets. So at this time, I'm going to turn over the microphone to Mr. Ron Clary, who's our Associate Superintendent for Operations, to talk to you about the facilities component. Ron?
Thank you, Dr. Gottardy, Madam President, members of the board. The next two slides summarize facility costs that will be associated with the name change. I'll give you just a minute to look at those items before we move on. And for examples that will have to be changed, of course, will be the exterior signage of the main building. We'll remove the Robert E. Lee and install incomplete letters, Legacy of Educational Excellence, across the front of the building. As well as item number 2, you see the marquee. The marquee on both sides will have to be changed with the full name of the school, as well as the yet-to-be-decided logo for the new school. It has the L with the 13 stars on it. Item number 7, in the competition gym, you see at the top the scoreboard has the L with the 13 stars. That panel will need to be replaced, as well as the bottom right. That is the scoreboard that is on the athletic field. The only thing that will have to be changed on the scoreboard for the athletic field is the L with the 13 stars. We will be keeping the John J. Farrar Field, as well as the lettering below it, which says head coach. Head coach 1968 to 1974, and then below that says Robert E. Lee State Champions 1971, and that will remain on the scoreboard since it is a student achieved recognition. Item number 9, this is the scoreboard at Littleton Gym. Again, you'll see at the top there's the logo with the 13 stars that will have to be replaced, that panel on the top. The bottom is the scoreboard at Bassie McCullough. We'll remove the Robert E. Lee High School. It's just on peel-on letters that will be replaced, and we will probably just need to redo that whole scoreboard because a lot of the letters are starting to peel off. So we could easily put Lee High School back up there. There are a couple of other scoreboards at that facility that do not have any lettering on them. Item number 13, we'll have to refinish, resand, repaint the main competition gym floor. If you'll notice on the right side of the picture, it does say Robert E. Lee on the end, as well as replace the logo in the middle. That is the main competition gym. Item number 11 is the Wall of Heroes display. We'll have to replace, no, what we're going to do at the Wall of Heroes is, as you see, the Lee logo on the left-hand side, right above it is a Northeast medallion. That medallion will be replaced with the new school medallion with the logo. We will be keeping the one with the L with the 13 stars because many of the recognitions to the right of that medallion are representative of Lee High School state champions. So we will be keeping the original medallion as well as adding the new one right above it. And that is that's both sides. And that is examples of facilities. If there's no questions at this time, we will move on to Dr. Newman, Associate Superintendent for Campus Administration and Instruction.
Thank you, Mr. Clary. Madam President, members of the board, I will be reviewing fine arts, athletics, and JROTC potential costs with you. These next two slides itemize some of the fine arts costs. Rather than go through those individually, just like Mr. Clary, we'll show you some examples of these. As you can see, the team garment bag has the names Rebel Rousers, Dixie Drillers, and you can see that on the team competition top, items 2 and 3. Those are our spirit groups. The team trailer has the 13 stars and the names Rebel and Dixie again for spirit. And below that, the band trailer might be hard to see, but it's got the 13 stars in each of those pictures, as well as the name Robert E. Lee. And we have the orchestra banners you can see with the 13 stars. Now the next 5 slides, Coach Funk put together an itemized list of potential costs to athletics. And so once again, we'll go through each of those slides. And then just to show you a few examples, item 1, here we have the varsity red game football pants. It does have the mascot Grumpy, as well as on the girls' basketball varsity uniform. We have the tennis jacket with the logo of the 13 stars. And it's hard to see, but that's a golf bag, item 21, and it does have the full name Robert E. Lee embroidered on there. The varsity uniform, the logo with the 13 stars, is that softball uniform. And below that, we've got the soccer uniform. On the sleeve, you see the full name is used. And then the next 2 slides are what Colonel Henson has put together for JROTC potential costs. And then just to show you a couple of examples, the equipment travel trailer does have the name. The panels in the JROTC facility has the logo of Grumpy Gus. Then item 10, the target face mask. It's hard to see, but Robert E. Lee is listed on each of those items, as well as on the battalion flag below that. Now that concludes the fine arts, athletics, and JROTC, and at this time I'll turn it back over to Dr. Gottardy.
It's important to acknowledge that our staff, our parents, and our students have made an investment over the years in our school merchandise. There's no way for district staff to calculate that with any type of accuracy, but it is important to consider that the community's personal costs may be very significant. So let's talk about next steps moving forward. Now that we have decided that we would keep the mascot, we would keep the colors, it is now time for us to have Ms. Franco at Robert E. Lee High School gather students, staff members together to start talking about the new logo and the new mascot design. The items that we reviewed with you will need to be purchased through our normal procurement process. So it is important, even though we're talking about the 18-19 school year, it is important that we start this process very quickly and that we can order uniforms and jerseys and T-shirts and stuff in a timeline that would meet and would match the beginning of next school year. We will also have a process to develop a new school song and rename certain student organizations. The Robert E. Lee statue and other relics will be moved to honor the history of the school in an on-campus museum. The statue will be a focus of this area. As I mentioned earlier, we don't intend to move honors, trophies, and awards that were already earned by students. We have included a budget there of setting up that museum of some $15,000. The museum will be open to the public. So what you have in front of you is a slide that is a comprehensive number that includes the facilities, fine arts, athletics, JROTC, setting up the museum, and because we're fairly early in this process, we believe that there may be some things out there that we have not necessarily found just yet, so we added a $25,000 contingency. So we're at a total of just under $300,000. We believe that is the right, this is the right process, given the fact that if we were to do a comprehensive change, we would be spending well over $1 million more than that number. So that is our report currently. As we get further along in the spring and we start looking at mascots and logo redesign, then we will be bringing you a report at that time. But with that, that concludes our presentation of where we're at in this process, and staff is here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Gottardy? Mr. White?
Yes, ma'am. My question has to do with the mascot name volunteer. It would appear to me that the campus staff may want to, as they come up with the mascot and what have you, may want to have some input on the name of the mascot, and not necessarily at the present time you're having the staff to work with the mascot or volunteer. But you still want the staff to come up with the mascot. So wouldn't it be appropriate to allow the campus staff to also consider whether they want to use volunteer or not?
Mr. White, I may have not have done a good job of explaining exactly the mascot. We are keeping the mascot volunteers. That is my my direction to Ms. Franco. What her students and her staff will do is will come up with designs for what that mascot looks like. But we are keeping the volunteers because we found literally hundreds, I hope that's right, don't you think, staff? At least several dozens of examples, if not hundreds of examples of vols, volunteers, and if we were to change that particular mascot completely, then our costs would go up exponentially. So we are keeping the volunteer mascot. I'm asking Ms. Franco and staff to come up with some designs of what that new mascot looks like.
Okay, I heard what you said. It's just
Good.
that.
Thank you.
It's just that it would appear to me that the campus staff would may want to have some input on whether you keep it or not. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? I just want to thank staff for doing that extensive research and determining everything, because it's a lot. So, Ms. Franco, I know you were involved in that, and Dr. Newman and Ms. Funk and everybody, all the facility stuff. So just thank you to everyone who helped you with this report. And thank you for trying to minimize the costs. I mean, that was one of our concerns from the very beginning. So I agree that we need to have that contingency fund because just don't know. And I guess we'll see how this progresses.
Yeah, my plan is that this will be part of the 2018-2019 budget process, that we will have a line item that will show you specifically what we spent to make this change.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you, Deb, also. Sorry. I was looking that way and not that way. Okay. Item 10, new business for possible board action, A, board policy. 1, possible action regarding board policy DNA local. Second reading, Dr. Newman.
Thank you, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. We ask that the Board of Trustees approve the second and final reading of the attached board policy DNA as submitted. Mr. Trevino is available, should anybody have any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding this second reading? If not, do I have a motion to approve the second and final reading of attached board policy DNA local as submitted?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item B, instruction 1, possible action regarding 2018-2019 proposed innovative course. Dr. Newman.
Thank you again, President Grona, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. We are requesting that the board approve the following 2 innovative courses. These courses have been approved by either the State Board of Education or the Commissioner of Education. And the 2 courses are listed there. Mr. Gerard Cortez, our Executive Director for Special Education, and Kristen Williams, our Director for Special Education, are here if you have any questions on these courses. But we're asking for the board to approve these 2.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions about these 2 courses? If not, do I have a motion to approve the innovative courses as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item C, business services 1, possible action regarding public notice of the school first rating report of superior achievement. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. Jeff Coates is going to the dais to talk about the schools first. It's something that we have to present in a public hearing every year, and I turn it over to Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, members of the executive staff, and the board guests. We are here to do the annual Schools First review. This is required by law. 15th year of Schools First, and as soon as I can find the button, here we go. I will put this puppy up full size. All right, Schools First is a rating system based on 100 points maximum. There were 15 different data points. There were 6 that were pass or fail. They were based on the audit, whether we had an unmodified opinion in the prior year. The others were based on financial data, ratios, long-term debt, a portion of fund balance that was available. We received the highest award, Superior Achievement. Compared to the rest of the state, 83% of other school districts also received Superior. 11, almost 12% were above standard. 4% were meet standard, which is basically a C, and just 0.5% were below standard. Our lowest scoring indicators for this year were the current assets to current liabilities ratio. We only earned 6 points on that one. And also on the long-term liability to total asset ratio, we also only earned 6 points. The other school districts earned about 80% of them, 85% of them earned a full 10 points. So that was one of our weaker points last year. And that was mainly due to the proportion of our debt that was due compared to our assets. And as we built and paid down our debt, that has changed, and we should have a much higher rating on those 2 indicators next year. That was a quick run through. Very quick, right? You're like, holy cow. You were probably surprised. I normally talk a little bit longer on that. Basically, this is what we've gotten in the past. We've never received a rating below superior. And so you've heard this basic spiel several times, and so I just wanted to give it to you in synopsis. Were there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Coates? I liked that quick synopsis. That was awesome. Okay.
That is required to be approved by the board.
Right. I'm trying to make sure I read it correctly. So, do I have a motion to, how would I read that? It recommended that the TEA be noted and that be accepted. Okay, so do I have a motion that the TEA School District Financial Integrity Rating of Superior Achievement be noted and the NEISD Annual Management Report on Schools First be accepted?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 2, possible action regarding comprehensive annual financial report, CAFR, for the year ended June 30, 2017. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President. Jeff Coates will be talking about this, but it is our yearly acceptance, hopefully, by the board of our CAFR.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he'll be introducing our external auditor
Okay.
also.
Great. Thanks.
Yes. Greetings again, Madam President, members of the board, executive staff, and members of the audience. This is our annual presentation for the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for the year ended June 30, 2017. This is an annual process where our books are examined by our financial auditors, and then they report on our progress. I will leave that portion to them, and I'll just give you a quick run through on the CAFR and also the results of the year. For the CAFR, and for those of you who can't see it, is there, Jason, is there something to put up on board? Yeah. All right. So the CAFR is a very large document, over 200 pages. And so the hardest thing to do is how to read the CAFR. The best place to start is the table of contents. This every schedule, every section that has narrative on it, and the two main pieces for non-accountants would be the transmittal letter, which describes the district's current position and forward outlook, and then also the management discussion and analysis, which discusses the results of the current year's operations. If you read those two combined with looking at the general fund statements, you'll get a pretty good picture of where we are financially. The familiar statements you'll see in the CAFR are the fund level financial statements. C1 is a governmental fund balance sheet. It gives the general fund, debt service, capital projects, and combines all the special revenue funds into one column. Then there's also the schedule of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. That's what we normally see. You see that in your interim financial statements, basically. It also combines, it has the general fund in one column, debt service in another, capital projects, and then the combined balances for the special revenue funds. You'll see budget to actual statements for the general fund, the debt service fund, and also the food service fund. For the general fund, since the last time you saw this, there have been a lot of accruals, payroll accruals, AP accruals, and so the results are slightly different than what you saw in June. The final budget showed $533.9 million in revenue. We ended up at $537.8 million, a variance of $3.9 million. Our expenditures, we budgeted at $550 million, and we ended up at $537 million. So we had a variance there of $13.6 million. Overall, we had a net change to fund balance of a negative $69,000, which, so we're at almost a break-even position at that point. Governmental accounting also calls for a full accrual of the government-wide financial statements. They're the first two financial statements you'll see, a statement of net position and also a statement of activities. It's done on a full accrual, so the The basis of accounting is similar to that that's used in the corporate world, but the financial statements themselves look quite different. And we won't go into all those details because no one likes to hear an accountant go off for an hour. Some of the main things, though, on the statements include the transaction for capital assets, long-term debt, and the TRS pension liability that you won't see in the fund level statements, but are major components of the government-wide statements. And then finally, I'd like to introduce Ms. Janet Pittman with our external auditors, ABIP.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me here this evening to go over the results of your June 30th, 2017 audit. In this document, which I believe you have a PDF of, we have only 3 reports that are ours. Everything else was prepared by your finance department. And our responsibility was to audit those financials and give you our 3 audit opinions. So if you were looking on page 1, that is our independent auditor's report. It is an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that you can receive. It basically says that your financials are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And again, it's an unmodified opinion, the best opinion that you can get. We had no modifications to your financials. The second opinion that is in your financials is actually on page 197. And it is a report on your internal controls over financial reporting. So when we first come in to do the audit, we do an assessment of your internal controls over your major processes, such as cash receipts, payroll approval, who's approving your vendors and your checks that go out. If we had any segregation of duties or independence internal control issues, it would be in this report. But we are pleased to report that your finance department is set up very well with functionality, and we don't have any issues with the internal controls or segregation of duties. Your third report is your report over federal programs. You receive well over $750,000 of federal awards each year, and we are required to audit your major programs. This year, your major program was your school child nutrition cluster, which includes your breakfast and lunch that you serve to the children. And our report did not have any findings or question costs to report to you on the compliance requirements over your federal programs. We also issue, it's a 3-page report. It's required information from us, your external auditors, to the board. Not going to read every one of these, but I did want to highlight 2 of them. We did not have any audit adjustments related to your financials during the year. Basically what this means is that the information that you're getting throughout the year, we did not make any modifications to those, and you can rely on the information you're getting throughout the year to make your financial decisions. The other thing I wanted to bring up was we are required as part of our audit to do testing over your public funds investment act compliance. And again, we found the district to be in compliance with that act. That's all I had. Unless anyone had any questions, I would be glad to take those.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Pittman? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and presenting that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Jeff. Check, Jeff. Well, a minute ago I tried to jump the gun, so I just wanted to make sure. All right, so we are going to, if nobody has no questions or comments, I'm going to make a motion that the CAFR for the year ended June 30, 2017 be accepted, signed, and filed as required under law. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you again. Item 3, possible action regarding consideration and approval of an order by the Board of Trustees of the Northeast Independent School District authorizing the issuance of Northeast Independent School District fixed rate unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2017. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President. The next two items, what we're trying to do is we're going to be selling bonds. We're going to be fixing half and then doing a variable for the other half. And we're looking at $85 to $95 million that we're going to sell. And that's to pay off the commercial paper program that we've been utilizing the last year and a half. Once we buy that down, then we'll be able to utilize the commercial paper again and push off some of that debt that we don't have to sell the bonds for another few months or maybe over a year. So this is the fixed portion that we're asking for approval to be able to go to market. Ricardo Villaseñor is here with our financial advisors with First Southwest. And if you had any questions, and Brian Moy, our executive director, is here also in case there's any details that you might want.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, comments, details?
Sure, I'll go.
Okay.
Do we have, I guess for the fixed part that we're refunding, is that right? Any
Yes, sir.
estimation on what, what savings might be preliminarily?
Do you have an idea, Brian? I mean, the thing is to pay off the commercial paper. So we're going to fix, like I said, because we're limited to how much variable we can put out to 25% of our total debt. But Brian might have that detail.
Yes, and basically repeating what he says. The original plan was to clear out the commercial paper and do it all in one variable rate issue, but combined, our debt policy only allows us to have short-term variable rate plus the balance of commercial paper has to be less than 25% of our total outstanding portfolio. So we've chosen to do half of this takedown of the CP in variable and half in fixed. And it also helps that over the last few months, the long-term rates have actually gotten a little more attractive. So we're comfortable putting some amount out fixed. It's not really like a PV savings from a refunding. We simply need to zero out the commercial paper program so that we have the entire line of credit to basically start over our interim financing.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Mr. Jaso, you look like you're thinking.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, but I'm gonna do two different agenda items.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So the first one is, do I have a motion to adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Northeast Independent School District fixed rate unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2017, pursuant to a delegated sale as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Okay, now I have to scroll through that. Anybody know what page number it is? 81. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. All right, item 4, possible action regarding consideration and approval of an order by the Board of Trustees of the Northeast Independent School District authorizing the issuance of Northeast Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2017. Do I have a motion? Right, because we've already talked about it. Okay. So do I have a motion to adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Northeast Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax refunding bonds, Series 2017, pursuant to a delegated sale as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. White. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Villaseñor, for being here. Appreciate it. Item D, operations. 1, possible action regarding 2015 bond Northeast ISD Transportation Central Bus Terminal Facility Upgrades Project schematic design approval. Mr. Clary.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests, Mr. Sullivan is at the podium to make this presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. The bond program has 2 presentations tonight. This is our first one on the Transportation Department project. This is the agenda we're going to follow. This project is led by Lopez Salsa Architects, Rocky Lopez, and we're proposing the general contractor be our job contractor, job order contractor, Satterfield and Ponticus Construction. Transportation Central, located near the intersection of Broadway and Wetmore Road, is shown here in this photograph, and the 2015 bond project is going to focus on this transportation maintenance building that's in the yellow circle. And there's a close-up view of it. We've got shop bays included in this facility, along with several offices and restrooms. And to the left-hand side, between the building and Broadway, is the main fueling station for all the vehicles in this area. But that'll be included in the project work. These are just some interior photos of this facility. This is an old facility that's well deserving of some needed renovations. The project has four main components. To renovate the Transportation Foreman and Coordinator's office, which is located in this facility. To renovate the shop bay areas on the inside. To do some exterior work on the west side of the facility. And then to upgrade the fueling station equipment to match the fueling station equipment that we have at Transportation North. Graphically, that's shown here on this slide. So we have the office renovation area shown in the orange color. The shop bay areas are shown in the yellow color. On the top of the slide, we've got the new west canopy, which is shown in the purple color. We have an existing canopy on the, what would be the north or the east side of the facility. And then to upgrade the fueling station equipment that's located here in the mauve color. Now that is broken down here in specific tasks. We've got around $325,000 budgeted for the office area and restroom renovations, about $220,000 for the shop bay area renovations, approximately $400,000 for the exterior canopy and work on that side of the building, the west side, as well as $21,000 to replace the fueling station equipment, including a district contingency with the total program value of $960,000. That gives us a construction budget of $1 million. This is how the bond program is broken out for that project. Overall, we have $1.25 million in this program account, with the majority of that $1 million for the construction. We have worked extensively with the Executive Director for Transportation, and Jack's very pleased with the plan we have developed to outfit his old facility. Our timeline is to complete the design by February of next year, bring back to you our costs with Satterfield and Ponticus's construction in April of that year, and then complete the project between May and December of 2018. So by December of next year, by about this time next year, we should be nearing the project completion. So our recommendation is to approve the schematic design as presented with a construction budget of $1 million, and to appoint Satterfield and Ponticus as our job order contractor as the general contractor for this project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Sullivan? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the schematic design presentation for the 2015 bond Northeast ISD Transportation Center Bus Terminal Facility Upgrades Project, and authorize 1, full development of project design and construction documents, 2, use of the district job order contract bid delivery method for bidding construction services, and 3, appoint Satterfield and Ponticus Construction, Inc. as the designated general contractor for this project.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Jaso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 2, possible action regarding 2015 bond MacArthur High School Fine Arts Addition and Renovations Project bid award approval. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam President. Our second and final presentation for this evening concerns the recommended bid award for the MacArthur High School project, which is a fine arts addition renovation project using the construction manager at risk bid delivery method. This is the agenda we're going to follow for this presentation. This project is also headed up by Lopez Salas Architects, and our construction manager is Marksman General Contractors. And I know that Mr. Boblet, if you just stand up, is here representing his firm. We're delighted to have him on board. Or at the MacArthur High School campus, I'd just like to point out to you the completed 2011 bond work. You can see the new ROTC facility and marching pad, the new science addition, and the new athletic addition. That's all. This is all the 2011 bond work. The 2015 bond program is going to focus on this building, the 1995 bond fine arts addition. So that project has been in place for over 20 years and is going to get its first major renovation in this bond program. These are the tasks that we have included in the bond program. We're going to be constructing an addition for orchestra and dance. Currently, dance has a metal building that's located adjacent to the fine arts building that's used by the dance cheer pep program. We're going to renovate the band and drama areas. MacArthur is unique. It's the only theater in the district that does not have an orchestra pit, and the stage is located essentially on the second floor. So we're going to put in a large capacity freight elevator so they can more easily move equipment and props from the first floor to the second floor. We'll also be providing various site improvements, and we have a total program value of 28,103 square feet included in this project. Schematically, the campus fine arts facility is shown there in the orange, and you can see the addition is in the mauve color, the renovation is in the orange color. We're on 2 floors. We have to relocate the fire lane, which is going to take away some parking in order to provide this addition and meet building code. There is a large capacity freight elevator, and in order to provide that additional parking back, we're going to be providing a new parking area adjacent to the what would be the right field area of the baseball field, which is bid alternate number 1 in our project. And this is a view of the new addition as you would see it from the JRTC marching pad, looking to the east. All right, this project had a construction budget of $7.25 million. We reported to you 2 months ago when we were going out to bid that we felt the project cost was going to be closer to $8.125 million, and the actual cost, including the fine arts equipment that is purchased from a separate vendor, Winger, is $8.925 million. So we're over budget by $1.676 million, or 23%. And I'm going to answer that question as to why we're over budget in just a few minutes, because it also plagued me as to why we missed it by so much. So the best way to present this is to compare our 2 major fine arts projects, which is MacArthur and Bradley. So MacArthur had a total program of 28,000 square feet, and Bradley 27,285. Both are CM at risk projects, so they have the same bid delivery method. But they have significantly different budgets. MacArthur had a budget of $8.5 million, and Bradley had a budget of $10.7 million, a difference of $2.2 million. So in my professional opinion, as the construction manager for the district, I didn't put enough money in the MacArthur budget. When I programmed the bond program, I missed it. I should have put more money in the MacArthur program because the square footages and the programs are similar. And we could not have achieved what we needed to do for $8.5 million. This is the Bradley project that shows what we're going to do there, just as a point of reference. the Bradley program, and you can see the construction account at $9 million, and the budget that's in the consent agenda came in at $8,988,509. We missed it by $11,500. That should have been the budget we had for the MacArthur project, and we wouldn't be talking about being over budget. It would have been in the same budget as the Bradley project. So if we compare the two side by side, here's MacArthur and here's Bradley. In terms of new additions, facility renovations, very comparable. The only difference was we should have programmed more money into the project budget, and we would have had the same success in terms of as compared to the program budget. In terms of the timeline, we're looking at starting construction of this project later this month or early December, and completing construction by April of 2019. And at this point, I'd like to give you an update on our bond program financial scorecard, because I think it's relevant as we talk about this presentation. Through the first 31 projects, if you look at the bottom right-hand box, the bond program has accrued a surplus of $10.5 million. This does not account for the $15 million that's in our global contingency fund. This is just the construction account. Green colors on the far right show programs that were under budget, and orange shows programs that were over budget. So I'm happy to report that we have a lot more projects under budget than over budget, and we've created a pretty nice surplus. In the next year or so, this is what we have in front of us. And last board meeting, Mr. Jaso had asked me, is this the complete list? Tonight, Mr. Jaso, this is the complete list. And if you look at the summary, I anticipate in the next year we're going to have projects that are going to bid approximately $4.5 million over budget, leaving us with a total surplus of $21 million, $6 million of that being in the construction account and $15 million of that being in the global account, for a total of $21 million. This accounts for the MacArthur project bid at $1.676 million over budget. That's already factored into this analysis. So I think the bond program is healthy, and as I mentioned, I didn't budget enough money in the MacArthur project. It's very similar to Bradley, and if I had budgeted properly, then it wouldn't have been over budget. So we're recommending this evening that you approve the subcontractor bids that were received at the construction manager's office, and I was present at that bid opening, including bid alternate number 1, which is the additional parking area, and bid alternate number 2, which is to upgrade the lighting systems in the facility to an all LED facility. And this also includes a district contingency of $200,000, and that you authorize the superintendent, Mr. Clary, and myself to execute the contract. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sullivan or comments? I think it's exciting to see us adding money to the contingency and not taking it away.
Thank you.
Dr. Gottardy?
I think it's fair to say that Gary's putting all the blame on himself this evening, but really and truly, if you can recall back in the spring and summer of 2015, you know that a huge committee made up of 40 to 50 community members were on our bond committee. And there are always projects that the community wants included in a bond program. So when I give him the directive that I don't want it to go over $499 million, then he has to keep it under $499 million and try to get as many projects in the bond that the community wants. So I appreciate Gary taking some of the hit tonight, but really and truly, it's a combination of community wanting as many projects as possible, and we all want as many projects as possible. At the same time, there was a dollar limit to the entire bond program. So I agree, Ms. Grona. It is fantastic that we're pretty far along in the 2015 bond program, and we've done nothing but add to the contingency. So,
and Mr. Sullivan, you do an amazing job.
Thank you.
So you just need to pat yourself on the back and,
I just wanted you to know it wasn't the architect or the contractor.
no, yeah.
In this case, the project was underfunded. That's the way I look at it.
Are you saying we should have gone for 501?
No, actually, in order to make this right, we would have had to have eliminated the project.
Yeah, I agree.
Something would have had to fallen off in order, if this had been budgeted properly, we would have had to take $2 million off the table. And the last project in was some of the restroom renovations for special ed and the Churchill dance facility. They were the last ones in, so one of them probably would have dropped off.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. Okay, does someone else have any comments? I seem to be talking a lot. No comments. Do I have a motion to allow Marksman General Contractors to contract with the subcontractors shown in the construction cost bid summary provided at attachment 1 for the 2015 Bond MacArthur High School Fine Arts additions and renovations construction manager at risk project for a total contract award value of $8,316,946, which includes bid alternate 1, construct additional parking area adjacent to baseball field, and 2, provide new LED light fixtures in the entire fine arts building. Additionally, grant the superintendent, associate superintendent for operations, and executive director for construction management and engineering authority to execute this contract.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Ms. Grona, as you're going to be going into the consent agenda next, I'd like to just have everybody in the audience that's here for those agenda items that's not going to have a presentation, just stand to be recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
So anybody, design team or construction team, if you all just could stand and be recognized. I'm not going to introduce you individually.
Oh, come on.
Brad?
Introduce them if you're going to make them stand up.
All right, so we have Brad Shearer, Vice President, Regional Vice President Satterfield, his son Kalen Shearer, who's the Business Development Manager for S&P, Rocky Lopez with Lopez Salas, Russell Asher, who is one of the chief estimators and the estimator for the Bradley project, Brian Zwicky, who's the project manager for the Bradley project, and Mark Bobbitt, who is the owner, president of Marksman General Contractors, doing the tennis project as well as the MacArthur project.
Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, and prior to reading the consent agenda items, the administration informed me that the specific item pertaining to the approval of the prior board meeting minutes needs to be pulled to correct an error. Thus, this item will be brought back at a future meeting for approval. So item 5 is being pulled at this point. So now I will read item E, consent. 1, internal audit, A, annual audit plan. 2, campus administration, A, SHAC annual report. B, SHAC member appointments. C, regional day school program for deaf SSA. Item 3, business services. A, waiver of penalties and interest. B, tax roll approval. C, donations. D, $50,000 purchases. 4, operations. A, 2015 bond elementary school walking tracks. Bid package 1, project schematic design approval. B, 2015 bond elementary school walking tracks. Bid package 3, project schematic design approval. C, 2015 bond elementary school walking tracks. Bid package 5, project schematic design approval. D, 2015 bond program district CTE center. Bid package 2, medical and construction trades facility upgrades, addition and renovations, project bid award approval. E, 2015 bond program, Bradley Middle School Fine Arts and Cafeteria additions and renovations project bid award approval. F, 2015 bond BAC Tennis Center courts expansion and facility upgrades project bid award approval. G, professional services contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the 2011 and 2015 bond design and construction requirements. 6, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent?
Madam Chair, I have a question on the SHAC committee.
Okay, so which item, and we will pull that?
That's item 2B.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve consent as presented without item 2B?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Mr. White, item 2B.
Yes, Madam Chair. I recall last year on the SHAC committee, I was concerned about the members, the diversity of the members, and I found that, you know, I was negligent in not recommending somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like to know how did the committee shape up this year in terms of diversity?
I would like to ask Rachel Naylor to approach the podium and address your question, Mr. White.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, the issue that you were concerned about last year was addressed. We have 3 new members from our Roosevelt community. One is an African-American woman. Her name is Sandra Lawson. She is on the list, and we're excited to have her join us on the committee.
Thank you. That's fine.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the item 2B, School Health Advisory Council SHAC memo appointments.
Okay. So you're making a motion to approve that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item 11, reports. A, financial statement review of expenditures. That's been provided to you. B, awarded bid report. That's been provided to you. Item 12, matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies, 2, a personnel action, 3, a student disciplinary matter, 4, a complaint about a particular student, 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas 78217. And Mrs. Perkins will keep time for me.
It's 3 minutes. Yeah. I believe it's Ione McGinty.
Can I please be told when my time starts?
Yes.
My name is Ione McGinty. I live at 344 Townview in the Robert E. Lee District.
Time starts.
I am here to represent the taxpayers in my district and to say we are not pleased with how the district is spending our money or with the product it is producing at NEISD. My household, like many in the area, are not middle income, but we are below middle income and poverty level. We simply cannot bear the tax burden that the district helps to perpetuate by their insane spending on buildings and now the renaming of Robert E. Lee High School. The recent cries by the NEISD students to change the name has caused me to do some research. The students at NEISD have colluded with Julian Castro and others to change the name. Why would he be involved with the students at NEISD? My research has led me to the conclusion that his involvement has nothing to do with the Civil War, but with his mother's rabid anti-American views that were passed down to him. Rosie Castro was involved with the hate group known as La Raza Unida. She is quoted about the Alamo, saying things about the Alamo, which is the single most defining feature of San Antonio, both historically and culturally. This is what she said about the Alamo. I hate that place and everything it stands for. She called the Alamo defenders a bunch of drunks and crooks. I think it has to do with Robert E. Lee's military genius that led to the victory in the Mexican-American War. NEISD's recent production of Evita included the students saying these unacceptable words during the performance: slut, bitch, whore, and repeatedly flipping the bird during the performance. NEISD is teaching these students that these words are okay. Many students at Lee that I have talked to have told me that they are bullied and looked down upon by the NEISD students. But we have a solution. These are not Robert E. Lee High School values. Move NEISD. Move NEISD off the Robert E. Lee High School campus. Do not change the name of the school or build NEISD a $35 million theater. There, we just saved the district over $36 million. You, the board, have not been fiscally responsible, and the students are not getting an excellent education.
Christopher Cortez.
My name is Christopher Cortez. I live on 123 Trudeau Drive, and I am a Robert E. Lee student, and I am speaking on behalf of the Robert E. Lee student body. As a student, I don't understand this whole thing. It's very weird to see students walk through the hallways and just not even recognize, because Robert E. Lee did not fight for slavery. History says that. History says that Robert E. Lee did not fight for slavery, he fought for Virginia. He actually saw slavery as a sin. He saw slavery as not morally right. And I believe that if we forget what Robert E. Lee did, what he stood for, or what he fought for, then we will replay history. And that is something I know we do not want to do. And it kind of makes me sad, because I really, really did want to graduate with a Robert E. Lee name on my diploma. And it just makes me kind of like know that everything I worked for to this day is just thrown away, because I really wanted to graduate with that name. Now I have to graduate with another name on my diploma. And it makes me just, it's very sad. And just, I don't know how to feel anymore, because I walk through the NEISD building to get to my art class, and I am often bullied, looked down upon, as Ms. McGinty said, by NEISD students, telling me that Lee is a racist place, that you are racist, and it's just very putting everybody down, because, I don't believe in a community where we have to put everybody down. I believe in everybody deserves rights, and everybody deserves to be happy. And yes, what the Confederate Army fought for was very bad, and I do not agree with racism, I do not agree with slavery, and I do not agree with anything that happened that day of those years. But if we do forget what Aubrey Lee fought for or what he did, we will forget history. And like I said, we will replay history. I don't really know what to say anymore because most of the things that we have on that school have been paid for by alumni money. And it kind of makes me kind of like sad because the scoreboard is paid by alumni money. And yes, I did hear the part where there's this, the L and the stars.
I'm sorry, Christopher, your time is up. Thank you. Elena Loveland. Now what do you do?
Good evening, President Grona, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. My name is Elena Loveland, and I am a senior at Ronald Reagan High School. I'm currently the commander of the striker marksmanship team, and I thank you all for listening, considering my team and myself's appeal of why the new range should be 16 lanes instead of 8. Again, we thank you for your time, and we shall proceed with the presentation. As I leave this school, I feel the GRTC program and my years on rifle team or marksmanship team has helped me mold into the person I am today. As I move into the next phase of my life, I feel that my peers that have come after me should not only have the same opportunity, but also be given a better ability to achieve success. Expanding our range will provide our school to expand and allow more kids to join our program and be able to practice what we were not able to currently do. Plus, the range expansion will make our school viable for the competition hosting, where we cannot do now. Ronald Reagan High School has a history and pride that deserves the same ability as other schools to host events. While my cadets have not paid for the new range in currency, they have most definitely paid for the range in dedication, volunteerism, and being part of something amazing. Seeing my kids show up every early day after day, sacrificing their time and efforts that would not always guarantee them a lane. I can confidently say that they have bought the range in perseverance, sacrifices, and hard work. I ardently believe that all kids should have an equal chance at success. If the goals of the NEISD ring true for all schools, a chance for my members to pursue growth in the GRTC curriculum would be greatly appreciated. As I have given my recommendation on the range size, I will allow some of my team members to give their opinions. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.
Andrew Whitney.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gottardy, thank you for hearing me. My name is Andrew Whitney. I'm a Cadet Staff Sergeant at Reagan JROTC. I have been on the air rifle team.
Give us your address, please.
I live at 23819 Spring Sun. I've been on the rifle team, the marksmanship team at Ronald Reagan High School for 1.5 years. And I have to say, it is definitely one of the better experiences I've had throughout my life. Rifle team, air rifle is definitely not one of the most popular events at school, but some of the values that I have learned through being on the team will follow me through wherever I go for the rest of my life. The rifle team, like I said before, is often not very popular. There are certain appeals about the activities we perform. We perform air rifle marksmanship, similar to Olympic and collegiate style air rifle marksmanship. Members of the team have potential to compete for scholarships and spots at collegiate teams for air rifle teams. I am proud to say that I am competing myself for a spot in the Naval Academy air rifle team. And the expansion of our range to a 16-lane range would give the opportunity to teach the values of persistence, dedication, and discipline to other cadets in the future, even more of them. Because rifle team teaches so much more than just how to shoot an air rifle. It teaches you what dedication is like and perseverance through life. Even though it may just be taking a few shots on the range in the morning, it means so much more. The personal experience I've had, like I said, has been one that is definitely life-changing. And the more cadets that can experience this life-changing experience of rifle team, the better. And it will definitely improve the lives of future cadets. Some of the procedures we go through when we hold practices on our range, our Army instructors must be present, and for safety reasons, with using the equipment, using the facility, and then making sure everything is properly stowed. Should our new range be extended to 16 lanes, there will definitely be more time available for the Army instructors. One, for the Army instructors to monitor, more time to coach, and two, for the cadets so that every cadet has more time to shoot and improve upon their skills, thus teaching the values of perseverance and dedication even more with more time for each cadet. Finally, if our range was extended to a 16-lane range as opposed to the current 8-lane range, there would be more potential for Reagan to host air rifle competitions, which means other schools would have the potential to send more cadets to compete as well. And the experience gain would definitely benefit the community as a whole, not just the rifle team. So I thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you today. I will now turn it over to more members of the team. Thank you, members of the board. Thank you, Madam President, Dr. Gottardy. Thank you.
Wyatt Campos.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Gottardy, Executive Staff, board members, and guests. I'm Wyatt Campos. I reside at 1519 Crescent Glen, and I'm a staff sergeant at Ronald Reagan High School, JROTC Rifle Team. Our rifle team is a unique situation that the new JROTC building is not currently built yet, and we have the opportunity to increase the planned land size from a standard 8-lane range into a larger 16-lane. So, the obvious question is, why do we need a large range when an 8-lane range is adequate for other schools' rifle teams? Well, it is a simple answer. Reagan Striker Team is quite large, with almost 20 cadets on the team. We do not have enough time for each cadet to practice and hone their competition marksman skills. If a 16-lane shooting range was provided with the new building, all members would have adequate time to practice and become better marksmen. Personally, I only get an average of 25 minutes of practice each week, and am often not able to finish shooting one of my practice targets before I'm told the next group of rifle team members must now get their time to shoot. I do not get enough time to practice my position and simply feel rushed to shoot my rounds, which in turn reinforces bad shooting habits. Precision marksmanship is a very important part in my future college career, and that marksmanship is a sport which provides scholarships and helps me train for my future ambition to shoot competition air rifle for the Air Force Academy. Thank you for your time today.
That's it. Y'all can sit down. I just didn't want them to all be up there. Patsy Esterline.
I just want to say that's a hard act to follow. Good evening, President Grona, board members, Dr. Gottardy, executive staff, and guests. My name is Patsy Esterline, and my address is 6800 Park 10 Boulevard, Suite 123 North, 78213. I'm the president of the Northeast American Federation of Teachers. Tonight, I want to address the Safe Schools Act. The Texas legislature has given teachers the right to remove disruptive students from their classrooms. Changes in 2015 required the designation of a campus behavior coordinator. He or she is primarily responsible for maintaining student discipline and the implementation of the Safe Schools Act. The coordinator may be the principal or someone designated by the principal or district policy. I would expect that teachers should be informed on each campus exactly who is the campus behavior coordinator. However, this has not happened. Also, a placement review committee is part of the Safe Schools Act. This committee elects 2 teachers and 1 alternate. The principal then selects 1 member to join the committee, and those elections have not occurred. Northeast AFT is just asking for NEISD to comply with the state law. Thank you. Since I have a little extra time, congrats on your financial reports from the outside auditor. And I'm shocked that we only received $750,000 from the federal government. They need to pay more.
Item 13, discussion and possible action regarding board members' request for items to be placed on a future agenda and our request for reports from the administration. Does anyone have anything? Nope. All right, item 14, adjournment, and the time is 8:13. Thank you, everyone.